You're watching Back Pages tonight. Welcome back to our guests, Miguel Delaney and Andy Dunn. And Miguel, we're going to start this part by talking about Kobbie Mainoo, who's really been terrific in the last month or so for Manchester United. If we look at the back page of the Mail, it says, England are circling, but Mainoo keeps options open. He can play for Ghana. He's qualified to play for Ghana through his grandparents. Gareth Southgate watching him at the weekend. Does he look like an England player in waiting to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the quality's clearly there. Without trying to put pressure on someone so young, you can see the ability. You can see the sort of midfielder he's going to grow into. And I think it's also a specific type of midfielder England have been missing. It's certainly one that Ten Hag has been missing at United, given from what you hear, he sees him as maybe the young type player he didn't get in 2022. But of course, this is complicated by something that's become, it's a consequence, I suppose, of a more globalized society where so many players now have multiple nationalities. It's not like the 70s and 80s in that sense, and the rules are more flexible for that reason. And I suppose while some of it might come down to career decisions, it's also, I suppose, about what a player personally, emotionally feels, the family background he grew up in, whether which way their identity lent, whether it was kind of more towards their English side or in Mainoo's case, his Ghanaian side. And ultimately with that, he can only go on his own instincts. And I think that's one point I would say where it almost feels unfair to put pressure on someone so young to make a decision that could set his entire career. But I suppose that in itself is a testament to his quality.
Yeah, and with things like this, Andy, does someone like it was Gareth Southgate as England manager does he put pressure on the young man? Does he try and pick him for a squad? Does he involve him, or is it a conversation that takes place with his club manager Erik Ten Hag? How do these things kind of work?
Well, it's interesting because Gareth has always been insistent that he wouldn't put pressure on players to play for England. Miguel quite rightly says we're in a situation now where players have so many options internationally wise, and it almost becomes like a transfer market. You're trying to sign a player, so essentially that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to persuade him to play for your particular team. Which going way back, that obviously wasn't the case. It was pretty much the case that you were either qualified to play for the team or you weren't, and your options were a lot narrower. So Gareth Southgate is of the opinion, I think, that no one should be needed to be persuaded, coerced, or lent on to play for England. It should be exactly what you want to do. And if you have any doubts, then we've got enough players. However, that is a very idealistic point of view because, again, as Miguel says, the idea of Mainoo, he is the type of player that Southgate really, really could do with. I'm looking now at the travails of Calvin Phillips at the moment. I'm looking for spaces there in central midfield with Southgate's squad, and there's obviously one there. To me, Mainoo now already at the age of 19 would fit into that team. Bear in mind, he has played England junior level, under 18s and under 19s. He hasn't yet played, I don't think, under 21s. So at the moment, you would have thought his allegiance is to England. But in this case, if I was Gareth Southgate, I'd forget these quite lofty principles, and I would pick him for the next squad and get him into that senior setup.
Yeah, and he could be playing alongside Declan Rice with Jude Bellingham in front. It's pretty mouth-watering, Miguel, isn't it? But are the Euros too soon, or would you go down the Andy Dunn chief selector route and just get him in?
I'd almost get him in at this point. I suppose, given my accent, I can't go without saying that both Bellingham and Rice could have played for Ireland, of course, and Rice did. But I suppose that reflects, again, what we're touching on in terms of how international football is going now. And I think it is right, actually, that the rules are more flexible. But yeah, Bellingham is further proof. And to be fair to Southgate, for all the criticism he gets about a certain conservatism or resistance, he has been willing to throw young players in and also chop and change the team, particularly in midfield. So from that perspective, I don't think there should be any reticence about putting Mainoo. I'd say, particularly in the friendlies and the build-up to the Euros, try it. Why not?